Hi everyone, it's Priya from Bluewater Immigration. Today I want to talk about what the Intra Company Transfer Program is all about. So let's jump right to it. An Intra Company Transfer Program is also called the ICT Visa or the ICT Work Permit. Okay, so it really is for foreign businesses that have been in operation for more than 18 months. Now they can come to Canada to set up their Canadian entity. Now this has to be a branch or an affiliate or a parent or a subsidiary of the foreign business. We will be getting into this a little bit later today. This really is for owners of the company or for any key workers of the company, any senior executives, vice presidents, people with specialized skills for the company who can come here as an intra-company transferee. Now, this business that's being set up here in Canada, it can be an established one or it could be a startup as well. And we'll be talking a little bit about that a little later as well. Now, the best part about this intra-company transfer is an LMIA is not required. And LMIA is Labor Market Impact Assessment. It's not required for an intra-company transferee. A language test is not required as well unless you are going to apply for your PR after 1 year of work experience being an intra-company transferee. And usually the ICT work permit is issued for about 1 year, and renewals can be done up to 2 years, okay, to a maximum of 7 years for executives and 5 years for specialized workers. Okay, now we're going to talk about some of the requirements that will allow you to qualify for the intra-company transfer program. There are about 4 main requirements. I'm going to be talking about each one individually. The first is the transferee itself. Okay, this person should have been working for the foreign business continuously for 1 year. 1 year means, at least 30 hours per week, and there should not have been any breaks in employment. Okay. Only senior executives, managers, functional managers, or specialized workers. Now, when I say specialized workers is, for example, if you have a proprietary IT software and somebody who absolutely knows this software inside and out is not necessarily in a senior management position, they can come as an intra-transferee as a specialized knowledge worker. Okay. Now, should be transferred to Canada in a very similar capacity. So if they are just a manager in the foreign business, they can't be transferred here as a senior executive. They should have held a senior executive position back at the foreign business as well. Okay. Typically, NOC codes 0013, 0014, 15, and 16, like mentioned here, are the NOC codes that are eligible for the intra-company transferee. Now, I have discussed NOC codes in detail in another video, which you can take a look at. The investors, okay, the people who are actually moving here cannot be just a passive investor in the business, okay? They have to be involved in the business. So they need to show proof like work reference letters and pay stubs and dividend payouts and anything that proves that they were actively involved in running the business is extremely important for the transferee to qualify. So the second requirement is for the current employer or the foreign business that's actually looking to come to Canada. So obviously they need to be a legal entity. Okay, they should be doing business regularly, selling products or services to their clients on a regular basis. They should have been in operation for at least 18 months. And some of the proof that can be shown to prove this is articles of incorporation, tax returns, license to do business if they are in a regulated field, partnership agreements, or anything that actually proves that they are a legal entity and they have been doing business. So sometimes even financial statements and everything are asked for as well as part of proving how successful the business has been and why they are looking to actually move to Canada and how they think they can be successful in Canada. So the third requirement is a Canadian business registration. Executives can move here to a startup organization or an established one, but the Canadian operation must be legally incorporated. It could be a federal incorporation or a provincial incorporation. They have to have a CRA number, which is extremely important. Now, the proof that you can actually show are lease agreements, bank statements, the fact that you have $100,000 to $150,000 in investment to cover startup expenses. We'll be talking about this in the next few slides. Articles of federal or provincial incorporation. These are the different things that you would actually be proving to let the government know that you do have a business that's legit here in Canada. The fourth requirement is absolutely essential. It talks about the relationship between the foreign entity and the Canadian entity. So the Canadian entity must be either a parent, an affiliate, a subsidiary, or a branch of the foreign entity. So there has to be that qualifying relationship. Subsidiary pretty much means the international company either owns 50% of the Canadian entity or possibly less than 50%, but in that case, controls the Canadian subsidiary. The Canadian branch is very simple, is just an operating division or office of the same international company set up in a different location. Okay. Canadian affiliate means that the Canadian entity and the foreign entity are both owned by another company, a group of people, or an individual. So these are some of the requirements that are required typically to apply for the Intra Company Transfer Program. Okay, the first is a completed application, okay, for the LMIA exempt work permit. The next is the offer of employment, which is done through the employer portal. Then the business plan, which needs to be written really well. Supporting documents for the Canadian, foreign and Canadian companies, like all the different documents that I discussed in the previous slides. Proof of current employment for the ICT transferee. I talked about work reference letters and pay stubs, etc. in the first slide. An invitation letter from the Canadian company. So if you see, the list is not really exhaustive, but it's extremely important how these application forms are completed. It depends on the authenticity of the offer letter. It depends on how strong the business plan is. All of these criteria really lead to a successful intra-company transfer application. A few slides ago, I did talk about some of the investment requirements. So let's talk about that a little bit in detail here. So you need at least about $100,000. Now that I say is minimum. Okay, there really is no set limit as to how much you can show. But as a rule of thumb, we say at least $100,000 for you to show that you've got that money to cover your first year expenses. Because you need to hire a permanent resident or a Canadian citizen for the first year. So you need the money for their salaries. You need the money for securing an office premise, for maybe any other procurement expenses. So you definitely need to show that you've got at a minimum of $100,000. Now, if you have about 150 to 200 even, you are definitely in a safe spot to get accepted for this program, but not necessarily mean that if you have just 100,000, you will not be accepted. Okay, so it's all at the discretion of the officer who is reviewing your application. Okay, and these funds can be owners' personal funds. It could be raised externally, internally. It doesn't really matter as long as you're able to prove that you've got the funds for the business's first year of expenses. Now, in addition to that, you've got application fees, okay, business plan, compliance fee, the work permit fee, biometrics, and legal fees. So all in all, this can be close to about $10,000, and that's just a rough estimate as to how much it can cost. It can cost, less, depending on who you're working with, which legal firm, and so on and so forth. But just as a rough estimate, just keep aside another $10,000 for all your application fees. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can apply for your permanent residency status after you have been an intra-company transferee, because a lot of people, that's what they're interested in after working in Canada. They want to understand how they can apply for their PR. So here it is. So you need to complete at least 1 year of work experience in Canada, okay, after which with a valid work permit. And when we say valid work permit, it means your employer has to give you an offer letter that states that once you receive your PR, you will be working in Canada for that employer for at least 1 year. So the offer letter should very specifically state that. And depending on your knock code, you could get either 50 extra points or 200 extra points because of this offer letter that your employer has given you. And 50 points is really for senior management level, and 200 points is for senior executive level. Okay, so like the knock 00 for the 200 points, and anything knock 0, A and B, it's 50 points. Now, the transferee may also be able to apply for PR without a valid work permit. In this case, they just simply qualify with just the 1 year of work experience in Canada. So in this case, they are applying for permanent residency through the Federal Express Entry, the Canadian Experience class. Okay, so, and whether they are applying for PR through a valid work permit and the extra points, or without a work permit with just the Canadian Experience class, language requirements is a must. They need to get a minimum of 8,777, which is 8 for listening and 7 for reading, writing, and speaking. And these are the basic minimum requirements to apply for PR. So book a consultation with us, okay? It's free. Find out if you qualify for this program. A lot of people have had a lot of success, getting accepted into this program, especially in Ontario and BC, and we'll be very happy to walk through the process with you, answer any of your questions, and see if this program is right for you. And we look forward to working with you. Thanks so much. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video if you found it useful. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. And I look forward to connecting with you.